Now we start this hour with breaking news. Israeli military officials say around 400 missiles were launched from Iran towards Israel and that defensive systems are operating to intercept the threat. According to earlier military reports from similar incidents, this comes as the Israel Defense Forces announced a preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Israeli military officials say around 400 missiles were launched from Iran towards Israel and that defensive systems are operating to intercept the threat, according to earlier military reports from similar incidents. This comes as the Israeli Defense Forces have announced the preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Now we have a breaking news. Israeli military officials say around 400 missiles were launched from Iran towards Israel and that defensive systems are operating to intercept the threat. According to earlier military reports from similar incidents, this comes as the Israeli Defense Forces announced a preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Early in the morning, explosions were heard in Iran's capital on Tehran this morning, with Israel saying it launched a preventive attack, pushing the Middle East into a renewed military confrontation and further dimming the hopes of a diplomatic solution. The strikes reportedly took place near the offices of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. However, it's not clear whether the 86-year-old leader was in his office at the time. There's no clarity on casualties so far. Russian proxies. Now, U.S. officials have reportedly shared that U.S. strikes have been launched at Iran by air and by the sea. Now we stay on this breaking news. Israeli military officials say around 400 missiles were launched from Iran towards Israel and that defensive systems are operating to intercept the threat, according to earlier military reports from similar incidents. This comes as the Israeli Defense Forces have announced a preventive strike against Iran in a major escalation of regional conflict. Explosions were heard in Iran's capital this morning, with Israel saying it launched a preventive attack, pushing the Middle East into renewed military confrontation and further dimming hopes of a diplomatic solution. Now, in the light of current security situation in Israel, the Indian embassy has issued warning for all Indian nationals in the country. Citizens are advised to exercise utmost caution and remain vigilant at all times. Now we welcome my colleague, anchor and correspondent, Roshan Gidwani. Thank you very much, Mr. Roshan, for staying with us and joining us. What more can you tell us about this ongoing situation and development regarding to Iran and U.S. and Israel?
So, Iran's missile operation against Israel is Monday hybrid. Iran is experiencing a total blackout with connectivity down to about 4% of normal levels. Just like you said, alerts have been sent to mobile phones in Israel on the other side of Iran, warning that missile launch is detected. And this, of course, goes back to your point that 400 from Iran to Israel have been sent. And I just mentioned that this has been funding. For Prime Minister Netanyahu has spoken and said that he would like to thank his great friend President Donald Trump for his historic leadership. Before he says this, Ayatollah has been shouted, yes to Israel, yes to America, and of course this has no blood. Essentially, when it comes to this war, what we have to remember is the mind that President Trump would like to bring Iran. When I say bring, the definition of that is to destroyed. About 400 have been sent from Iran to Israel. The war is ongoing. Now, this is
Thank you very much, Roshan, for sharing that. While we take some breaking news that are coming in throughout today, in light of the current security situation in Israel, the Indian Embassy has issued a warning for all Indian nationals in the country. Citizens are advised to exercise utmost caution and remain vigilant at all times. The embassy strongly urges Indian nationals to follow the safety guidelines and instructions issued by Israeli authorities and the Home Front Command. Now we welcome back my colleague, anchor, and correspondent, Roshan Gidwani. Thank you very much, Roshan, for rejoining. What more can you tell us about the ongoing situation?
And sounded at this time, the IAF is operating to intercept and strike threats where necessary to remove the threat. The Israeli military says that additional barrage of missiles has been launched towards Iran, and Oman Air says it has suspended flights. Of course, now Qatar's interior ministry says conditions in Qatar remain stable and safe in light of attacks on Iran, and the air defense has been activated in Tehran. That's the latest, Asuma.
Thank you for sharing that. And is there any other advisory that we have heard for the citizens of, foreign nationals in Iran, if you can share that with us?
We have been privy to information about Indian nationals. From what I understand, Pakistan has also sent out alerts to their citizens in Iran. Essentially, I think the whole globe here has to be wary and reach out to loved ones and the citizens of their country, if they are in Iran, to be aware of what's happening and, of course, evacuate. Asuma.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Roshan. And so far, what more can you tell us about what has happened since the morning regarding Iran and Israel and U.S.?
Asuma, is that this essential strike on Iran has been a surprise, okay? And the reason it was done in the morning was to surprise the citizens there. Now, of course, this is unfortunate, it's unfair, but this is what's been done in a surprise attack on Iran. And Trump has mentioned in an 8-minute speech that his plan is to essentially raise Iran. Now, this is because he's unhappy with the state of affairs and their discussions and their negotiations. He does not want Iran to essentially have nuclear missiles or nukes and to enrich uranium and minerals in Iran. So this initial strike will last 4 days. Last June, the war lasted 12 days. We will just have to see how this plays out after the 4 days. And the latest is that Iran has sent 400 missiles to Israel. So that's the latest, Asuma.
Thank you very much, Roshan, for sharing that insight with us on NewsX World. Now we welcome Mr. Peter Baum. He's an editor at Weekly Blitz, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mr. Baum, for joining us on this timely breaking news. Now that these strikes have happened, is this an escalation, or do you think this will eventually de-escalate? As the talks are supposed to also continue, and also, what do you think about the regime change? Can it happen?
Want me to rotate my phone?
I'm following events, obviously, from outside of Israel and talking to all colleagues around the world, and we've been following events for the last hour or so. Now, it seems to me that and we've spoken about this many times, it seems to me now this will not be a short-term operation. This current conflict, this current attack on Iran by both the USA and Israel is definitely designed to overthrow the Iranian regime. That is the sole objective of this current conflict. and the success of that can only be determined in the next 48 to 72 hours to see what the Iranian, how effective the Iranian response will be. As we speak, I'm hearing a couple of things. I'm told that Iran has launched a number of ballistic missiles towards Israel, and I've also heard that some very senior people within the Iranian regime, including the defense minister, have been eliminated. Now, of course, I can't confirm that yet. I'm just getting the feedback from very reliable sources, but to your listeners and viewers, that is unconfirmed reporting. But what has been confirmed from colleagues in Israel is that they are expecting a wave of ballistic missiles to hit the country. Hopefully, from their point of view, the defence systems, David Sling, the Iron Dome and the Arrow system will be able to protect Israel, but not every air defence system is 100%. We know this, and it's likely that some will get through and create damage.
Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Baum. Do stay with us. We have another breaking news coming in from Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed that Israel and the United States have launched a joint operation that is specifically aimed at removing the existential threat posed by the Iranian regime. The operation, which Netanyahu describes as crucial, is intended to create favorable conditions for the Iranian people and enable them to, quote, I quote, take their fate into their own hands. In a statement officially issued to the nation, Netanyahu has emphasized that Iran must not be allowed to arm itself with nuclear weapons, as this may harm stability in the region. Now we welcome back Mr. Peter Baum. He's the editor at Weekly Blitz, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mr. Baum, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, how do you analyze the current cooperation level between U.S. and Israel on this attack towards Iran? And also, is regime change that simple? Because, and if that does happen, who will be the next leader? Because since I do not know of any strong opposition leader in Iran, at least.
Yeah, okay, so taking your first question first, it was clear from yesterday afternoon when the American ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, told non-essential American staff to get out of Israel if they can, that something was imminent. We know that there has been a build-up by the amount of American military hardware going into the region in the last 3 or 4 weeks. We also know that I think Israel and America played a very shrewd tactic. After the negotiations ended, there was talk of Marco Rubio visiting Israel on Monday, this coming Monday. Now that would have given the Iranians some kind of assurance that no attack would be imminent over the weekend, given the fact that Rubio was scheduled to go to Israel on Monday, and that there was still room for extending the negotiations, which weren't going anywhere despite the statements coming out of the Omani foreign minister and some members of the Iranian delegation. That clearly the Iranians were not prepared to go along with Trump's 4 red lines, which were non-enrichment of uranium, stopping ballistic missile production, stop arming and funding their proxies, and stop clamping down on the domestic protesters. So I think the timing caught the Iranians by surprise, and we'll see what happens militarily in the days ahead. Now, in terms of the Iranian opposition, it's clear that they have one person in mind at the moment who we know that previously Trump has not been keen on, but nevertheless looks like being the person that's going to be promoted to the role should they be successful in regime change, and that's the Crown Prince Pahlavi. That seems to be the person they've got in mind. The opposition in Iran is fragmented. There was an attempt on Khamenei's life by the MEK, an even more extreme Islamic group than the Iranian Shia totalitarian theocracy themselves, just a couple of days ago, but that was successfully thwarted by the IRGC. So it seems at the moment that the Nephew and dynasty from the old Shah's regime look like being the preferred choice of Iran's enemies should they be successful in overthrowing the current regime.
Yes, we will be doing that. Thank you for sharing that deep insight with us. We have another news coming in